G'day, legends, and welcome to the Pot Noodle episode Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight, we've got a full house. We've got Shane, we've got John, and we've got Liam. How you doing, Shane?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jared. Had a pretty decent weekend. Highlight of it being able to head out. Bridget and I, my partner, headed out to the Loom, which is basically the world's biggest digital art gallery in Melbourne, and they've got a feature on at the moment for celebration of Indigenous culture. So feature on Indigenous art, Indigenous culture and history, and celebrating Indigenous music. And it was a wonderful experience. And if you are in the vicinity of Melbourne, I highly recommend you check it out. It's great.
I've been eyeballing that, going, do I go to that or do I go to something else they've got going on down at that way? I can't remember what it is. So it's not Sexpo though, so don't worry, we're all good. How you doing, Liam?
Good, mate. Good. I finally got my decor up in the office. So apologies if the pictures look a bit squinty. I haven't had time to straighten them all up yet, but aye, looking good.
And everyone, here's Johnny. He's back after a long break. How are you, John?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I think that exhibition came to Brisbane as well, Shane. So it's one that I did. It's very good. Yeah. No, I've been good, Jared. I've been kind of jet setting all up and down the East Coast for the past couple of weeks, and was in Rockhampton beginning of last week. Very nice. I like Rockhampton. Good size steaks. So big up Rockhampton.
It's a good place, Rocky, and they got some nice pubs there and everything. So yeah, happy days.
Yeah, brilliant pubs actually. Yeah, it's kind of, it feels very British actually with the pubs, the carpet on the floor and stuff.
If you're missing a Rockhampton, there are pills you can get from the doctor for that. I'm just going to say.
You started early, everyone. Here we go. Yeah, so we're trying to come up with a way to, get Buckie in the title for the pod today in our group chat. And Liam said, blame it on the Buckie. But we're like, how'd that work? We won. What can you blame on him? So I decided we'll make it a bit of a sing-song and, don't blame it on the boogie, Michael Jackson style. We'll change it to Buckie to get Liam's T-shirt in there. And, Liam's probably over there with his mate Pedro going, doing all those crotch grabs and stuff under the desk right now. So there you go. Had to, Liam, had to. Can't just be the only one.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a bit of a loose pod tonight, let's be honest. Celtic's back. I've just been in the kitchen doing a shot of rakia. Yeah, great fun. We're going to be up and about, so try not to swear for another minute and a half, and I'm laughing. So okay. we'll get straight into the game. Celtic 5, Buckie Thistle 0. Starting lineup. We were talking about it last week on the pod. Didn't expect there'd be too many changes. I think basically we all knew Big Kyogo up front. Then it was who would the wingers be, and then what would the midfield rotation be. We knew CCV was out, so it was a question of, a bunch of us were saying, oh yeah, wouldn't mind seeing Mitchell Frame play at left back, or I said put Bernabei in to get him in the shop window. Didn't happen. We pretty much went with a full strength back line with Johnson, Naroski, Scales, Taylor. Middle of the park, O'Reilly, Home, and Bernardo. So, yeah, no Kelmac. We'll touch on that in a second. And then Abada back out on the right, Palmer on the left, Kyogo up front, as was touched on earlier. I think all things considered, there was an interesting tweet pre-game from Tom English saying no homegrown players in the starting lineup. Well, we'll be talking about that later on, last thing on the game, because all 5 subs were from our youth academy. So shove that, Tom English, shove that. And we'll talk about a bit more of it. But Shane, what was your thoughts when you saw the starting lineup?
I missed the news about Kuhn, so I wasn't aware that he'd been ruled out. So when I saw that he wasn't part of the lineup at all, I was a little bit surprised. And then and Paul in our group chat explained that he'd already been ruled out. I don't think there were too many surprises. What I was really interested to see was that midfield 3 without Kelmac, and particularly Home playing in that 6 role. I really wanted to see how he operated there. with Bernardo and O'Reilly ahead of him. Apart from that, not too many surprises for me. I thought it was still a very solid lineup and one I was expecting to get the job done, in a relatively straightforward fashion.
Liam, jumping off the back of that with your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it was it's it was the best possible way to kind of negotiate a game which could potentially been tricky. I think we rested a couple of players, but played a strong enough team to give Buckie the respect that they deserved. And 5-0, you can't complain with that. That's just getting the job done, get it done with a bit of style. Good to see home get a goal. Good to see just the young players getting a run out, and it was just good all round, really. Just pretty much as expected, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Smell the Glover saying it was a good run out for the players. Andrew Galea saying full strength minus Calmac. Smell the Glover also stick to rugby, Tom. Andrew was saying it was a nice goal, some nice moves, and it was a good workout. Kathleen, I'll keep that comment for later because I think that is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, well, Mahesh was saying Celtic don't seem to be playing too many friendlies during the break compared to Rangers unless they're being kept secret. I think it's also a fact that the workload we've done and everything, and we got players away with the Asian Cup and everything. It kind of makes it a bit hard as well. So let the players get a rest. But Johnny, I'm going to throw it to you. Now, your thoughts on the starting lineup and then on the first half overall. What was your thoughts?
Well, with the lineup, personally, I was a little bit surprised that we didn't rotate more players. I think really kind of, apart from injuries, it was only Home that really got a shout, I'd have said. And like Abada coming back in, but he would have been a first team player anyway. But I know what Liam was saying about, respecting the opposition. I just thought it was a really good opportunity just to rotate some, like we were saying with Barnaby and stuff. Like there's definitely shot windows and we can sort of see where, the depth that we had. So I was a bit surprised that we didn't rotate more, but at the same time, you rotate too many and it all falls apart, right? And this is not a game, the embarrassment level if we lost that game. So this was not a game that we needed to, lose, sort of thing. First half, as like we were commenting, like it was just good football. I mean, I know there was multiple offside goals, ridiculous amount of level of offside goals. But I think that was symptomatic of the type of football we were trying to play in that particular game. Like, again, all due respect to Buckie, but they weren't exactly the best. So it meant that the type of football we were playing looked especially great. But we were trying to have defense cutting passes to then run into the back and then, get some sort of result off the end of it. And we seemed to be doing that really well. It eventuated. And the first half was a really good example of that. We had some brilliant called off goals and goals and stuff, and it just went from strength to strength there.
Yeah, we'll talk about the whole VAR thing and the goals and individually in a couple of minutes, but I agree with what you're saying there. I thought Matt O'Reilly in the first half in particular did his best Tom Rogic impersonation. We're getting in there and threading those needles between the lines, the guys making the little short runs with some 1-2s and all that. So it was with the ball through to Bernardo and then also the one for Holmes' goal. So I think, it was just nice to see. I know the standard of football wasn't the greatest, but for me, just the first half, all things considered, I actually found the second half more exciting. But I think the first half was good to see the guys get out there, dust the cobwebs off, get the rust off them and everything, chuck a bit of WD-40 on. Do you have that in the UK? I don't know. And just get on with it.
Do we have WD? Yeah, we do.
So it's fun. So it was one of those things for me where I'm just like, I enjoyed it. The goals were nice, and it was just good to see Celtic back out there. Liam, you got anything you want to add there on the first half as well?
No, I mean there was more flagged material than there is in my stand-up set. It was really like, all of the offside stuff and whatever. But I tell you what, one thing I noticed though was that Abada was getting caught offside quite a lot, but the runs he was making in behind the defence, see when he gets back up to full sharpness and he can get his timing right, he's going to be absolutely lethal because he looks even faster than he did before he was injured.
Well, the lad of Lanark saying how good was Abada, how much have we missed him. And I had that on my notes as well, Liam, where I was saying, like, where was it? Abada in for player focus. I was actually going to talk about Abada to Kyogo and the connection those two have, because I think you can just see that those two know how to play well. And it's Abada with the early cross and with the speed, so he can take a guy on, but then he's whipping those crosses in, and Kyogo's just getting in on the end of it. So it was like, for me, I'm looking at it going, I think it's going to sound harsh, but we brought in another winger. We've got Kuhn in, we've got Abada. I'm saying Maeda is our striker, that extra striker. Instead of signing someone, it's going to be Maeda the rest of the season. I don't see where he fits into the current rotation with all our wingers that we've got at the moment. If you look out on the left, what do you got out there? You've got Palmer. You could play Maeda out there. But on the right, you've got Kuhn, you've got Abada. He's not going to play on the right anymore. So, yeah, I think Maeda's going to give us that versatility where he can play left, he can play through the middle. And that means we don't really have to focus on getting another striker in, especially with where's that comment from earlier on? Here we go, from Michael Ross. We don't need to buy a striker. We now have Abada. But yeah, it's Shane, just what were your thoughts on the goals in the first half?
I thought they were good. We obviously had a couple of disallowed goals, and I thought we probably weren't playing to our strengths completely until that Taylor goal was disallowed. And I thought from there we seemed to lift a bit. And obviously the first goal, and you were commenting on his performance. So Matt O'Reilly was actually involved in all three. So the first goal, he threads the ball into Bernardo. It's a beautiful pass, and I'm not sure who it is. I didn't have a chance to go back and watch it, but there's a Celtic player in line with Bernardo who makes a similar run, and it drags one of the Buckie defenders away. I think it may have been Kyogo.
Yeah, it was
and
Kyogo.
It just creates enough space for when that ball comes through Bernardo, he's not having to fight other bodies in front of him. That was a really important run. It was a great ball, but really important, selfless run from Kyogo as well. Tidy little finish. The second goal, again, O'Reilly's involved. It was actually a really slow build-up, really. Like, we were knocking it around for a little bit. We were being really patient. And Home was kind of always getting on the end of it and looking to move the point of attack, trying to make something happen. And eventually, obviously, that little bit of interplay with O'Reilly at the edge of the box, lovely little back and forth, maybe a little fortuitous that it breaks kindly for him in the box, but he's still got to finish it, and he does. Again, the build-up to that and the patient build-up was what the highlight of that goal was, not so much the actual finish itself. And the third one, again, O'Reilly's involved. He's the one that threads the ball to Abada. And then Abada puts in an absolutely perfect cross to Kyogo. And that's what you were saying before about that synergy between the two. And it's just, all he has to do is tap it home, and he does. And what I loved about Abada, and I agree with him being back, what I loved most is that on the left, you had Palmer, who, in my opinion, didn't have the greatest of first halves, constantly getting on the ball, looking to cut inside. But you had Abada keeping his width, actually staying wider, not looking to cut in all the time, looking to actually get beyond his defender and then whip a ball across the box, put something dangerous in. And I thought that was a point of difference that maybe we haven't seen much of. And it was getting a little bit frustrating when he was getting offside, particularly when he was looking across the line. But you kind of accepted it because every time he got on the ball or every time he made a run, he looked dangerous. He looked like something was going to happen, that he was going to create something. I think that's where, as frustrating as the offsides were, you didn't sort of look at it and go, it wasn't comparable to, say, Yang at St. Johnstone all those weeks ago, because every time Abada did get on the ball, he just looked like making something happen. And he did. So yeah, a couple of decent quality goals, and no less than we deserved, really.
On that, Shane, I'm just going to jump in here before I go to the other boys about the goals. But do you think the difference as well with saying about Abada and Kyogo linking well is that Abada's an actual proper winger? Yeah, he can play through the middle, but as you're saying, he likes to stay wide and get it around to the byline line and whip crosses in and everything like that. If you're playing him wide the way he was, I noticed, and it was instead of the winger coming back in, where, okay, when they come in, they bring the fullback in with them, and then they've got a couple of centre backs, and it just jams up the middle, which gives Kyogo no space. You've got Abada looking out to stay really wide right, keeps their left back out, which gives him more space to find those gaps running at the centre back or between the centre backs for those crosses. I think it actually opens space up a bit more for Kyogo in the middle of the park where he can do his thing, which is those one-touch finishes.
Yeah,
But
no, absolutely. And, one of the things that really helped too is that our ability to transition as well. So we weren't allowing them, particularly later on in the half, we weren't allowing them to set up. We were moving the ball a lot quickly. I'm pretty sure that goal came from actually their only attack of the game. And we sprang and we were able to play a barter in. And that's where Kyogo, for me, is at his strength, when he's able to get and he's running towards goal and he's not having to fight all those bodies, as you say. He's able to get one-on-one shift between his centre halves and create that space and just literally look for that ball across. So, yeah, totally agree.
Liam, your thoughts on the goals? And then Johnny jumping off the back of it.
Very well crafted goals. I think that the Kyogo one was particularly telling because, there was the offside one just before that, which was pretty much an identical goal. Abada, like you say, getting wide, Kyogo's able to kind of drift into that gap that's left because the defence is stretched. And, I still maintain that I think our best front three is Kyogo through the middle and Maeda wide left and Abada wide right. I think that's the way to go. Two natural wingers. And really, you've got Maeda's pace and you've got Abada's pace and trickery. And between the two of them, it's an absolute nightmare for the fullbacks. And then Kyogo will just run into the natural spaces that are created there. And you've got the option of, if we really want to go for it, we can take off a midfielder and stick O on as well and go, two strikers with the two wingers if you really want to push it.
I know Kwan's on your mind, but we'll talk about him a bit later, Liam, okay?
Yeah, sorry, I made that mistake. I do apologise to our Korean listeners.
And Johnny, you got anything to add for the first half goals?
Just the first half goals. I think it's worth mentioning that Bernardo's becoming an absolute force to be reckoned with. It's every single game he's playing is in strength to strength, and I think what we all want out of this transfer window is to make his deal permanent, and I think that will be very much on the forefront of a lot of those in the know at Celtic. Will be, they'll be trying to do that at all costs. I also thought, it's nice to comment that Home got his first goal. I think he is still somebody with talent. Although, I guess, for me, Home and Bernardo and maybe the likes of Kwan and some others that all came in sort of at the same time, there was a bit of I don't actually know how any of these are playing. And whenever they're getting a game, they're not doing particularly well. We're seeing Bernardo out of that pack of players becoming the leader. But I definitely think Home is probably the next one in that sort of group. He's definitely in the rotation, and I see talent there, and I think his goal was slightly fortunate, but very well worked. He took his chance.
I'm going to jump on what you've just said there about Home because I don't disagree with you, but
you do.
No, I don't disagree, but I want to add something to it. The thing with Bernardo, right, is he's playing well, but it's the last 5 games where he's had a run in the team in the same role every week, where he's playing in that number 10 position for us 5 straight games with a very similar midfield balance. He's started to come to the fore with his role. Every time we've seen any of the other guys we brought in the summer, the guys that everyone labels projects like Home, like Yang, it's always chop and changing. So it's kind of hard for him to get a rhythm. So I think Bernardo's doing well, and I want us to sign him up and keep him. I think Home is also a player, and I think, as you said, John, he's probably the next one to establish himself. And I like his game. I like watching him. But I think his biggest issue so far, and this is what I'm adding to what you said, is having a constant revolving door of different people next to him in the midfield early on, and then getting that red card and getting injured has kind of completely thrown his rhythm off for a bit. So I think this 19-day break with consistent training, getting in the mix, and then getting a game under into his legs like he did like yesterday, that's going to do him the world of good. But I want to see him keep getting a few more games in a consistent role to see how he goes too.
Just on the Home situation, I really enjoyed his game overnight. And it's the first time I've seen him play in that 6 role. So when he's come in before, he's usually been partnering O'Reilly more in that 10 or double 8 role as opposed to sitting deeper. So And when we signed him, his primary position was playing as that defensive midfielder in that 6 role. So that's why I was really interested to see how he went. I thought he was really good. I thought in terms of people who've come in and played a similar role to Calmac, I know it's against Buckie Thistle and no disrespect to them, of course, but I thought he did a really good job of replicating that kind of role that Calmac does. He was constantly getting forward. He was constantly getting on the ball, but he was shifting it quickly. And that's what I really appreciated about the first half. He was making himself available as an option, but he was shifting the ball straight away. He wasn't taking a touch and then looking. He was pretty much going, right, I'm spraying it out that way. He was looking to change the point of attack all the time. And that, from recollection, when we first signed him, was more of the position he played at his Norwegian club. So I would definitely want to see more of home, and I want to see more of him at that more deeper role. I think he's someone we could look at playing there if we want to give Calmac a bit of a rest. Awada's definitely got a shout there as well, but I really enjoyed what I saw from home, and I'd be keen to see more.
And Andrew Galea is saying very few opportunities for midfielders. Ask Awada.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to break into this Celtic side at the moment. It's. I mean, to be fair, the most of the opportunities have come from the midfield. Most players get opportunities in the midfield and the wingers. And then I think the hardest one to really crack has been defense. Right? We had, if you remember, like when we had Starfelt and CCV for so long, that was such a big pairing, and now Scales has managed to crack that. And yeah, it's hard to get into the Celtic team. And I think the only other player that's had a really good, again, maybe he's a forward, but the only other midfielder, if you like, who's had a really long opportunity, I would say, is Yang. Yang had a huge go at, he could have carved that space out for himself, and it just hasn't done it.
But I also don't think it's any surprise that and I would say that we're in probably the best form, and particularly towards the end of the year, we're probably in the best form we've been all season. I don't think there's any surprise that coincides with Rodgers actually settling on a midfield 3 and not chopping and changing as he had been. We've got a settled midfield 3, and we look so much better for it. And sure, we didn't roll that same 3 out, but 2 of the 3 were there, 2 that really worked together in O'Reilly and Bernardo, who obviously Jared and John, you've waxed lyrical about already. But I don't think there's any surprise that our form started to go upward when, instead of trying to shoehorn Turnbull in, we actually settled on that 3 with Bernardo in there with O'Reilly. It's made a massive difference.
I've been saying for ages that we need to have that production line where we have the 2 players for every position, and then we have the young kid coming through as the 3rd option in each position. The Laird of Lanark is said months ago that Home was Matt O'Reilly's replacement, Bernardo was Hatade's replacement, but now moved on when it was expected. So the planning is there if we lose big players now. So that's what I was talking about there. So realistically, you got O'Reilly with Home, you've got Hatade, you've got Bernardo. So there's 4. You got Calmac, and then Awada. They should be your 6 midfielders. So you got 2 at every position. Anyone outside of that, I don't really think we should be seeing the rest of this season. I would rather see young kids like Daniel Kelly, who made his debut last night. I'd rather see him be that next guy sitting on the bench than seeing a Turnbull. That's just my opinion the rest of the way, but we'll talk about that a little bit later as well if we want. But yeah, so we'll get crack into the second half. So really simple, early goal, and then I just loved all the all the subs that Brendan made, which I touched on earlier. So all 5 subs in the game in the second half were former youth academy products, and we ended the field with 5 on the field together. So as I said, Daniel Kelly made his debut. Rocco Vada played probably for the first time in the first team in his actual natural position as a striker. Thought he looked really good, and also looked like he's put on a bit of muscle there too, so he's filled out a bit. And then you have Welsh, Mikey Johnson, and Ralston. So as I said earlier, shut up, Tom English. But yeah, it was good to see the five youth academy guys there. Like, we're a club where that's a massive part of our club DNA, which is we bring players through, and it hasn't been happening a lot in the last decade. So to have 5 youth academy products on the pitch, even though it was against Buckie Thistle, so 4th round of the Scottish Cup against a Highland League team, I get it. You wouldn't do that away at Ibrox, but it was good to see that these players starting to get through anyway, come through, which is great. That's why I found the second half so enjoyable, probably more enjoyable than the first half. I'll throw to you, John. What was your thoughts on the second half and the goals that were scored?
Well, I thought much of the same. I thought we tightened it up slightly, and we sort of turned the screws. I thought that the youth academy coming on was a brilliant endorsement. I think it's a perfect game for those types of players to get a good run out. I think on the Rocco Vata sub, I would have said that in the same way that we'll talk about another player that got subbed on, and therefore that was an endorsement of that particular player. I think it definitely shows with the rumours of Rocco Vata moving on in this transfer window that I don't think Celtic are done with him at the moment. It's very much either that or it's his, final farewell game. He's like, thanks for everything, sort of moving on. But we have to hold on to a player like that. If we're talking about the conveyor belt as you are, Jared, like Rocco Vata is a perfect person to, and in fact should be breaking into that sort of second understudy, the not first player, but the understudy sort of thing.
So the role that it's currently in.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But the for the game, it was much the same. So we were doing, fantastic passing and stuff. There was a couple of chances, I have to say. Buckie had chances, which you have to give him a lot of benefit of the doubt. It was probably a game most of the Celtic players turned off in, but I don't know if that's the standard that we want at Celtic, where in a game that should be and was particularly easy, that you turn off and make a mistake where, a slightly better striker who's, not semi-pro and is playing, twice a week sort of thing, would have scored some of the goals. It happens to be that this, the striker, I forget his name, but like Richardson or something. He just those types of opportunities probably the moment got to him and scuffed him. I think the Joe Hart save might have been the second half, and then there was another one as well where they kind of just skied it inside or hit the side of the net or something like that. But yeah, second half overall very, very good. We scored our extra 2 goals from youth and all that sort of stuff. But I will say that there were some opportunities that Buckie shouldn't have had it at all.
Liam, what's your thoughts?
So in short, John, what you're saying is Buckie bottled it, yeah.
Fuck,
anyway,
that should
moving
be the
on.
name of the title. Jesus.
No, yeah. The thing with Vata, right? The acid test is going to be the next league game because O will still be at the Asian Cup, as will Maeda, hopefully. After that Iraq game the other night, I'm not so sure. But
we'll talk about that later on.
Aye. So, if Vata is on the bench next week, then that says, yes, he is the backup striker, at least while those 2 are away, which tells me that he is part of the plan. And it's that's the important one. But it's good that we've got these questions now. When Hatate and Maeda in particular come back, you're thinking, well, Palmer scored another good goal yesterday. He's looking the part. Very different type of player from Maeda, but he's doing things. Hatate is not by any means guaranteed to walk back into that midfield because you would have to drop either Bernardo or O'Reilly, and they're both pretty much undroppable on current form. And I think you don't drop Abada to try and accommodate playing Maeda out of position on the right. So what do? That's 2 players that would probably been 2 of the first names on the team sheet at the start of the season. And now we're thinking they might actually have to settle for a place on the bench. But it's a good place to be in.
Competition's always a good thing. So I just look at it and go, yeah, like what you're saying, it's going to have to be Vata as the backup to Kyogo against, Ross County on the weekend. Because the other boys are off at the Asian Cup. But also, Johnny Kenny's returning to Shamrock Rovers for another League of Ireland season, so he's not going to be coming back on loan. So who else do we have that can play striker for us? Are you going to play a Barter through the middle when he's only just returned and you want to get him into the swing of things playing in the wide right? No. So, yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for him. Let's get him on his new contract. And Andrew Galea is saying Barter needs loaned out only after he signed a new contract, Andrew.
Yeah.
Shane, you got anything to add about the goals?
Just Palmer's goal was a pretty well taken goal. They shifted the wingers in the second half, so Abada was on the left there, and Palmer had moved over to the right, and was cutting inside. And look, I don't think he had the best of game, but it was the tidy finish. And then I thought from probably that fourth goal onwards, the kind of sting in the contest kind of just kind of disappeared a little bit. And I don't say that we were poor, and by all means, Buckie gave it a decent shot, and they had a couple of half chances. And shout out to them. I know we've skipped past the first half, but I thought for the first 20 minutes or so, they were really up for it and defended pretty well, all things considered. And, they kept trying throughout, so they most certainly didn't disgrace themselves. But I thought the sting kind of went out of the game a little bit. Probably got a little bit of a bounce when Kelly and Varda both came on. I thought there was two players who were both excited and hungry to get on the pitch and get involved. And Varda in particular, it was great to see him get involved and actually score as well. And that was really good. And I think I completely back up what you're saying. I think now I'd like to definitely see if we can tie him down. And he should absolutely be challenging or looking to challenge for a first team spot. He should be looking at going, I can be an option off the bench. I can really push and challenge someone like O to be that option that Brendan needs when Kyogo needs to come off and it's not working up top. I'm completely on board with that. So yeah, definitely. Let's see if we can lock him away to a contract. I mean, don't misinterpret that, people.
So yeah. So for me, we've got.
Oh Jesus! Really?
I was just about to make a joke about Palmer's shocking little mustache he's got going on, and then John's just like jumping in with comments, and I'm just the old Dick Dastardly mustache that he's got happening. You know. But yeah. Ronnie's just thrown it now.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout to Dick Dastardly.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting looking one. Yep. It's just not all the way out yet, but give it a little bit longer. He's laughing. But yeah, let's bring up some comments and then we'll go through our final bit of player focus. I think we pretty much covered the lot here. So we're talking about Varda having bulked up. Michael Ross is saying square sausages and porridge has worked. I was going to say chicken and rice, but I think that's the Scottish version of it.
Pretty much.
The Laird Lanark saying, I said on other pods, half-it players could play better in our different positions. Welsh is a defensive midfielder when needed. Ralston on the right wing as he beats man. I don't agree with either of those, to be honest with you. I don't think Welsh has the mobility for defensive mid, and Ralston, yeah, I don't think he's got the skill with the ball at his feet to play as a winger. But, he's good as a brickie there.
Yeah. I don't know if he's got the pace for a winger either.
I think in those two cases, you either go with Iwata and Forrest respectively, if need be.
Absolutely,
have to agree there. So, yeah, we're just going to we'll go player focus. Just give a shout out to your man of the match for the game. Okay. Who you would give your man of the match to, because we actually touched on everything else we'd normally do for the player focus section. So, Liam with a smirk when I said touched on. Oh, God, look out.
No. It was just a comment that came up there. That was what got me. Yeah.
Palmer's the 1920s gentleman thief about him, bugs him away. Yep. There you go. So, Shane, who would be your man of the match?
For me, Matt O'Reilly. I thought he was excellent, particularly first half. He didn't really drop off in the second half, but in that first half where the game was there, still up for grabs, he's involved in all three goals. And even when we didn't score the goals, a lot of the goals that were disallowed or a lot of the half chances that were created, he was central to. I thought he was excellent, as you said, best Tom Rogic impression, and he was my man of the match.
Johnny, who's your man of the match?
Tough one. I thought Palmer had a great game. I thought Abada had a great first game coming back. But yeah, probably Bernardo for me. I think, just from what we were saying before.
Liam, who's your man of the match?
Well, I think in these games where you've got a massive club against a wee team, you've got to recognise those guys that go the extra mile to keep the score down for the wee team. So I'm going to give it to the linesman. No. I think for me it was O'Reilly. Just didn't put a foot wrong. Every pass was incisive. Every move was promising. Every time he got the ball within 30 yards of goal, you thought this could end up in a goal here. It was really excellent.
So for me, you guys have touched on it with all the players that I would have done. So I'm going to go a different tact here. Man of the match. I'm using the term loosely. Man of the match. We'll just cover it in general. Anyone who went out in that weather to watch the game, the 40-something thousand of yous, every single one of you get the Man of the Match award from me. Great to see there was that sort of a turn up. The funniest part is 37.5% of all the tickets sold for that game go to Buckie, so they're getting a nice payday too. So thanks everyone for showing up and helping out a club like that as well. So yeah, I'm just happy in general. But yeah. Last thing for the game I want to touch on here, gone yourself. Get rid of Mikey Johnson. Roger's still dreaming he will be the answer. I loved his footwork for Varda's goal. Nutmegs a guy, gets in there, byline, gets across on his footwork. There's an improvement there on what we've seen from him in previous seasons. But in general, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be a long-term thing for us, but I would loan him to another Scottish team if need to, second half of the season, so he can keep playing and take points off a certain mob for my Brox.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Mahesh, are you still here? Comments all for you. This is your I told you so section. Quan debuts on loan for St Mirren and was one of their better players on the weekend. Now, I'm throwing this one out here for a simple reason. We've been talking and joking, does Quan exist? And he goes out there and he absolutely turns it up and played well. And there was a bunch of comments early on. I'm just trying to find them. There you go. Andrew Galea had one. Quan was on fire for St Mirren. So it was good to see that one of our guys get out there and go and do well in the league. Now, the next challenge for him will be seeing what he does against Rangers on the weekend. There's a bit of a step up in standard there, but as we said a couple of weeks ago, get him out there with Keanu Bacchus alongside him eventually, kick lumps out of people, and it's good to see him actually play some football. So it's always promising when that happens. And the other one I wanted to talk about was Monty. Made his debut with Motherwell, had a couple of assists, so he did well there as well. Got anything you want to add about those two boys at all? Shane, Liam, John, anything like that? I almost said Shane twice then.
Yeah. Imagine two of me on the pod. That'd be just terrible.
God.
Yeah, that's disaster territory. That's cancelled territory. No, just really good to see. I think we've been talking about that on the pod, particularly in regards to Quan getting an opportunity, going out on loan.
Mahesh just few.
You can breathe easy, Mahesh. We never doubted you. We were always behind you and all that stuff.
Quan takes plastic Hardman Lundstrom out.
It's good, and it should. Obviously, there are a few other players that could probably benefit from similar loans, like Yang and Tilio, right? So this should strengthen that argument. Seeing how Quan not only was able to make his way into the first team, but also play well. That should be not only the club looking at it going, this is a good chance to get these players experience, hopefully the player and keep them match ready and get them up to speed with things, but it should also be the players going, hey, I can go to another club in this league and make a difference as well, right? So it's kind of win-win, and I don't think we've seen the end of it.
Right. Well, the St Mirren thing shows, that even if you're not in the first team, what you can achieve if you have a can-do attitude.
So Andrew Reid is saying Quan red card at the weekend, lump on. The lad of Lanark, we need to get more guys out on loan. The SPFL, more chance of hurting them. And Monty's become a decent player. Why aren't more out on loan? Rogers likes loaning them out. John Clements, brother-in-law, Motherwell fan, thought Monty looked the class. We need more players loaned out to Scottish teams. That's the thing. Like, I look at it and go, not only does it help, you know, as you were saying, Shane, help take points off Rangers, but it's also ones where I look at it and go, if you put these guys out in our league, historically it's tended to work well for us. When you're loaning out guys like Ralston went out, he had a couple of what we thought were bad loans, but he's come back and done well for us since he's returned. Then you got the same deal with like Chris Iyer, Ryan Christie, and then you're looking at these other guys out there on loan as well. Give them a chance. So I'm all for it. You can go back even further.
Cal Mack was loaned out
to Notts County. There you go.
Notts County. Yep.
Yeah,
it's definitely a system that works, but we need to make sure that it's the Scottish League or equivalent, because if it goes down to like a League One, League Two, English division, I'm talking about, and it's fucking pointless. It's absolutely pointless. It's just wasted. Like, I can't remember who it was, but somebody went down to Forest Green.
Jack Aitchison.
Yeah, right. I think that's a waste of a loan. Personally, those types of loans, we should be developing them internally and then getting them that sort of comparable position that we're in.
You want to know the funniest thing about what's it called, Forest Green? They're a club that's massive on like recycling and being carbon neutral and being vegan and all this sort of stuff. And who'd they have as their gaffer a little while ago? Duncan Ferguson.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
No danger of that dozy bugger ever being called woke.
Well, they just sacked another manager. They just sacked, I think, Troy Deeney was there, and he only lasted, I think, was it 18 matches or something? So I think they've gone through like 3 or 4 managers in like a very short amount of time.
Well.
I've just checked though. We are currently loaning 10 players.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's on Celtic's business plan to loan players out whenever possible.
So we've got to sell a bunch of players, and if we can't sell them, loan them, get them out, getting some games so they look good in the shop window. Michael Ross is saying I'd loan out to another SPFL side. I agree. Pun here. Hopefully, creates a quandary for Rogers. Keep going.
It was good, but not quite Liam good.
No, it's not as Quandu attitude good.
Yeah.
No, well, I think when you talk about him and Lundstrom, I think he's going take one, do him.
I knew it. I knew it. Something was coming.
Take one, yeah. Okay, there we go. Right.
Dundee wouldn't be a bad team for someone on loan. I like their manager. And then Robinson is a disciplined manager, good place to send loanees. Andrew Reid in the comments is saying, agree with the loan comments. Scales for all his faults knows the league. Yeah, that's the other one that I missed when I sat like the off guys in with Aberdeen as well. There you go. Smell the glove. Yep. The sight of drunken Duncan being given a vegan pie was funny. Sure was.
Only pie you've ever seen, that clown.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I think there's plenty of opportunities for us to loan guys out within the league. Now, I'm going to dive into something quickly. We've been linked with Owen Beck, who's been on loan at Dundee, the Liverpool left back. So the talk was we're going to try and bring him in this window. It's not going to happen because he took the pitch last night for Liverpool, played 7 minutes, which means he's played for 2 clubs in a calendar in one season, which means he can't play for anyone other than Liverpool or Dundee this season. So if he's the long-term solution, the player we want, we could probably still buy him from Liverpool, but he wouldn't be able to play for us. He'd have to go on loan to Dundee. Or I hope the club has a bunch of other left-back options on the list that they're looking at as well. At the end of the day, that's a little disappointing, but I was kind of hoping we'd go for someone a bit more established anyway. So I think we move on and off we go.
Yep.
I was going to say he's
just spoke at the same time.
Sorry, on you go, mate. I'll wait till you.
I was merely going to say that there was that South American lad Thiago that's still on the cards. I think
Thiago Aragão.
Is that how you say his name? Yeah, Aragão. Yeah, and I kind of would take that player first over Beck.
Yeah, the reality with Beck is that yeah, he's a Liverpool project, but he's still a project, and we don't want too many more project signings in the door. I think you want to get, like you say, guys that are established. He may well, the frustrating thing is, in 18 months, it could be worth 25 million if he does well, but we don't know that for sure. And he's at that stage where it could still go either way.
All I have to say, Liam, I'm going to start with what you said. But Beck is I'm just going to go my version of the Beck joke. Yeah, he's a shit musician.
I like that.
No, not much of a beer either, if I'm being honest. Kind of tastes like pish, but anyway. Oh, sorry. What I imagine pish would taste like. I've no idea what pish actually tastes like. Just so we're clear, okay.
So just on the whole left back,
I've never been to Seville, so I can't comment.
Get some comments. By the glove, we need a left now, just even to properly challenge Taylor. Andrew Reed's and buy Beck and load him back to Liverpool. Ladlenuck isn't coming. Wasn't even on the radar. We aren't going for much. Going for a left back. I think realistically, I don't think we'll do anything unless we sell Bernabei. We won't bring anyone else in. They'll just keep Taylor, keep Bernabei. You've got Mitchell Frame there. Those three guys there are enough to hold down the fort in the league at the moment. But I want a European quality left back for next season.
Yeah, I think that's probably hit the nail on the head for me. I mean, look, he looks like a good prospect, Beck, and he obviously played at Dundee and established himself there. But I don't think he's necessarily the immediate answer. He's going to be someone that we probably all thought that we might bring in. So if we are going to go up to someone like Beck, or if we were, obviously we can't now, and we were going to rely on him to challenge Taylor, why not go Mitchell Frame? Why not just give him the chance instead and say, right, this is your opportunity to challenge for that spot? I don't get me wrong. I'm sure Beck's a bit better established and has obviously been at Liverpool and played, first team football for Dundee, but he's still young. He's only 21, right? So why not give Mitchell Frame that chance instead if we were going to go down that path?
And that's where I was about to bring up this comment here from Pete McGee, Shane, and go, where the hell do we go if Greg Taylor picks up a bad injury? We channel what happened when Izagiri busted his leg, and we go to our promising youth academy player.
There's also the option of playing Scales at left back. He's done that before. If we're really desperate, because we've got cover at centre back.
You're missing the obvious one. Rio Hatate at left back, because he's done it in Japan. I always wanted to see your face there. Or,
no, I mean, that's the daft as it sounds, actually.
Yeah. Or for all the Lenny lovers, how about we play Kelmac at left back? Remember what happened last time that happened?
No, thank
it's
you.
not a serious thing, by the way.
Just go with a wingerless formation and just play Maeda at left back. Just have him going up and down the left side. He's got the tank for it. If someone can play dual left back and winger, he could do it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. John Clements is saying here, link with the Icelandic keeper. Also, Copenhagen, an English club, interested as well. And get him for $2 million and offer first team football. That's the thing we've got over those other clubs who are in for him. We could pretty much offer first team football. The others can't. So it'll be interesting. Next thing is Celtic have opened contract extension talks with Carter Vickers. Hopefully we can sign him up long term. That's off the back of him being linked with Brentford, West Ham, and some other English club. Not paying too much attention to it. If you trust the gaffer, he's saying that, he's happy here and he wants to be long term. So get him signed up, get on with it. So, yeah, for me, I'd be happy with him getting extended. He's probably the most critical player we have overall in our backline, the most talented one. But we've still got some decent players there. That's the thing. So, yeah, if I have Carter Vickers in the backline, doesn't matter who we play against outside of the Champions League, I'm confident we're going to be great with that.
Yeah.
And
that new contract's about asset protection as much as anything else.
It doesn't guarantee that we won't sell them. That's the thing. I think a lot of people online have been, well, what's the point in these 5-year deals if we're just going to sell them after 2? And it's protecting your asset and making sure you're getting the most value from that as you can. So instead of having 1 year left on a player that is exceptional, and halving the price of what they were the year before, we've sort of got that buffer, so we can, demand top dollar.
That's the thing, John. Spot on. Like, say if we sign him up now and we keep him for a 4 or 5 year deal, say it's a 4-year deal, and he plays next year and then chooses to leave, we still got 3 years there, so we still keep our value. So when you get to that last 2 years to 18-month range, that the values start to drop and everything. So keep him with contract there, and he's young enough that we'll still be able to sell him before it all goes tits up if need be. So yeah, I'm all for it.
We've got some wonderful players, but he is arguably still our most valuable asset, and we are, as you guys have all touched on, we're securing a really important, potentially our most valuable asset, right? And it's a no-brainer for me. Let's get it done.
He's the old Ferrari Testarossa of the back line. There you go.
Yeah. I think people like CCV and Matt O'Reilly are players that you build teams around, and obviously Cal Mack. But those are at the moment presently, like, completely indispensable. You can't get rid of them. You have to, when you go to replace, you replace with like, and you have to try and develop around and stuff. But I think everybody else can kind of is like chop and change, right? So
our best centre back since Virgil. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
I'll put him slightly ahead of Via.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the only candidate that you'd probably say is the best since Van Dijk. But yeah, I don't know. That's a really good point. I would say they're on a par at least.
No, I have him slightly ahead of Via.
It doesn't do the big stride forwards like Aya used to. The big gangly giraffe that sort of happens to take up, I don't know, 200 yards or something, and you're like, oh, okay, that happened.
The thing that Aya had going for him was he was a bit of he had that psycho, and
yeah, he did.
Nordic look about him that if he lost the rag, you could tell just looking at him. But there's times where Carter Vickers loses it, and you look at him, and he's like kicking lumps out of people, and you look at him, and he's like still just looks chilled. And I'm just like, okay, that's the guy who's not going to get himself the obvious booking. Smell the glove is saying, I would be jumped. Oh, but I clicked on the wrong one there. Hey, Julian was up there before his injury.
Yeah, certainly was. Yep.
Yeah. It's especially sad when you think of the manner of that injury, the fact that he did it, preventing a certain goal.
Yeah.
Himself on the line there. So it was there you go, Andrew Reid. Way ahead of Aya reads the game so well. Yep.
He's completely unflappable, and he's so solid. He's just utterly dependable.
Bloody size of him. Of course he's solid. Can you imagine his speed bills? Jeez. Yeah, had to.
Big dude.
Anyway. James lost it.
You boys. Lead me down the wrong path.
Liam and Shane, I'm going to give you a heads up for the last thing we're going to talk about today is an Asian Cup wrap on how the Celtic players and their countries are performing. So a little pre-warning there. Smell the glove. Unless Julian was playing the Scottish Aussie superstar Lyndon Dykes, he always struggled against him.
And he did struggle against him, but it was mainly on the plastic pitch as well, which, to be fair, a lot of players struggle on. He's not the first. He's definitely not the last, right? So,
well, that ties into the next topic that I wanted to talk about. Stephen McGowan is reporting that artificial pitches could be banned in the Scottish Premiership if 9 of the 12 clubs vote for it at the end of the season that they're going through. They've changed the thing. Instead of it being 11-1, it's now 9 out of 12. So it's a possibility. You're going to vote on it. So if that's the case, what are we looking at? Killy's already going to grass. They've already said that. So take them out of the mix. What other plastic pitches do we have in the top flight anyway? Livingston. That's it.
Libby.
And they're probably going to get dropped, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, they're as good as done.
Wouldn't be worried.
I mean, the Huns will vote against it out of spite. You know that. That's just,
Yeah.
They'll release a statement demanding that everybody pays them for the right to use a plastic pitch or something. Usual crap.
Get the plastic pitches banned this afternoon from Smell the Glove. Yep.
Yep.
Totally agree.
So that's a great bit of news saying that, because I know we've all said our piece on that for a while there. So just rattling through some topics here. Celtic draw St Mirren away in the next round of the Scottish Cup. Quan, I don't know the rules for the Scottish Cup. Will Quan be able to play against us, or is he parent clubbed out?
Is it not contractual if they can play against the parent club? So it depends on the deal.
I thought you used to get cup tied, but maybe I'm thinking more the English leagues than anything else. I genuinely don't know.
Depends on the league.
Is it not cup tied if you've played in the cup with the parent?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's right. Sorry, that's where I'm getting confused. You're right.
Yeah,
So
like
it's
if we
weird.
brought him on yesterday as a sub, for example, he couldn't play for St Mirren in
Yeah.
the cup. But,
So because that hasn't happened, and then you've also got so in the league he can't play against us. I know that for certain. So I think in the Scottish Cup you actually might be able to if the clubs are okay with it. Because I remember seeing wasn't Scales, but there was a few years back we had someone that we had loaned out and they played against us. It was some young kid. It wasn't any good, but anyway, yeah. So it could happen, but yeah, it'll be good to see us playing against St Mirren again. They've been a bit of a bogey team for us the last couple of years, where it's always been a tough match, especially at their stadium. So yeah, we'll go over there and we'll. Someone was saying we beat sheep herders and goat shaggers or something like that early on in the comments about Buckie. So people from up there.
Jesus.
honestly, you
that's what they
shag
said.
one goat and you get a reputation.
So
Oh.
I've seen that on Twitter as well. That's the only reason I say that. So many people are saying, like, of a blue persuasion, are saying, "Oh, you only beat this, blah blah blah." But the thing is, we go out and we go to St Mirren at their stadium. Where are they? Third in the league at the moment, or fourth in the league? They're up there and do the job there. You know, there's only 2 late games in the cup, which are both Scottish Premiership teams playing each other. We go and win that, then they can shut their comments up big time. So
I've not actually seen the draw, so which lower league team are Rangers at home to?
I've got it here. Just bear with me, Liam.
Air United?
I think so.
No, I think it is.
Are they at home air? Seriously?
Yeah, you know.
I think they are. Yeah.
So the games are you've got Killy versus Brower Rangers, Cove Rangers, the winner of that. Then you've got Inverness versus Hibs. You've got Aberdeen versus Bonnyrigg Rose. Greenock Morton versus Motherwell. I don't know how you say that. Airdronians or something like that versus Hearts.
Airdronians.
Airdronians, there you go. The Huns versus Air United. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be cousins versus cousins and ex-boyfriends versus cousins. Partick Thistle versus Livingston and us versus St Mirren.
But did you say that Bonnyrigg Rose got through to the 5th round?
I sure have.
Bloody
On
hell.
the Rose, get it done.
That's a massive achievement for them. That's yeah.
Good on them.
I think they only just got into the Highland League last season, so that's a massive achievement for them.
Yeah, they just got in the pyramid out of the Lowland League.
Yep. Or out of the conference leagues that we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, you'll get a great reception at Ibrox. Not about that. Good fun. So, before we wrap the pod up, just want to say thanks everyone for tuning in again. All our social medias are channels at the top, so you can get us on Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of good stuff at Celtic Down, Facebook, YouTube, Celtic Down Under. Search for it; it's easy enough to find. Hit subscribe, hit like, share, like the video on YouTube, share it around all your social medias, all the whatever, so like CSC groups or whatever you're in. Really appreciate all of that. And if you want some merch, it's a bit cold over there, you want to get a Celtic Down Under hoodie to support the podcast, jump onto CelticDownUnder.com. We've got hoodies there in grey, white, green, and black. T-shirts there, same colours, and there's drink bottles as well. So jump on, check it out. And if you want to support the pod and get yourself a hoodie or something to keep warm, jump onto the website. They're just right there. So we'll go to the Asian Cup wrap. So, Shane, I want to ask you, how are the Celtic players and their countries performing in this tournament? So with you, I'm going to throw to about Australia, obviously. So how's the Socceroos going?
So far, they've won 2 games out of 2, so they've won both games that they've played so far. They sit atop of Group B. It's fair to say they've been 2 very unconvincing wins. I don't think they've performed well in either game. There was probably a good stretch against India in the second half where they played well on the back of a couple of key substitutions, but the first half was pretty poor. Against Syria, they were very much the same. Syria sort of held their own, and we really struggled to have a lot of cut through. But look, compared to a few other nations, we're at least 2 wins out of 2. So we should be right where we need to be to finish top of Group B and go through into the round of 16. And no, he hasn't. He's made the bench twice, but he hasn't had a game yet. And I'm not sure he will, considering Geordie Boss is being preferred to him as a winger. So Geordie Boss, countless people remember countless times we've talked about Geordie Boss being a left-back option at Celtic, or something Jared and I would like to see. He's coming on as a left winger at the moment. So with him preferred to Tilio, I just don't see him getting much of an opportunity.
Yeah, not going to happen. I think the only thing that's going to come out of this is the warm weather training against quality players, and that sort of thing will come back and help him get his fitness up. So that's the way I look at it for this. I don't think he's going to play much, but he'll come back a lot fitter than he was. Hopefully do something in the second half of the season. Probably out on loan to a club like, I don't know, Hibs or, someone like that. Or St Johnson or something. Keep him within Scotland. Liam, how's Japan going?
Right. Well, first game, they eventually managed to beat Vietnam 4-2, despite being 2-1 down at one point and looking very, very below par. Then they went out the other night and got gubbed 2-1 by Iraq. It was not a good display. Iraq, by far the better team. They came out, they fought hard. They, not much class in the team, but a lot of graft and a lot of hard work, and fair play to them, they deserved it. Massively partisan crowd backing them up as well, which I think, helped. But the one thing I will say for Japan is when they were 2-0 down, Maeda and Hatate came on, and the team looked better. Hatate actually set up the Japan goal with a cross from a corner. And if Moriyasu is getting his sense, he'll start the two of them in the next game. I mean, Japan should have enough to beat Indonesia and that'll get them through the last 16, whoever they play. But there's the chance now that if Korea are currently sitting second in their group, but if they top their group, as I think they probably will, and Japan get through in second, because that's probably the best they can do, because I don't think Vietnam are going to beat Iraq, then you're looking at Korea against Japan in the last 16, which will be a very interesting game. They no love lost there, so that will be a very interesting game. And also you could have Celtic players going up against Celtic players, so that will be very interesting to see.
And between the two of you, what about Korea? How are they going?
Nobody knows.
No, I mean, it's kind of difficult to get a feel for Korea over here, because the coverage is usually at best neutral, at worst borderline racist. So it's kind of hard to really kind of give you an honest assumption. It's like, oh, there's the Koreans playing again.
They had a 3-1 win against Bahrain,
Yeah.
and then this was post. Obviously, we were looking at the Japanese sort of result and thinking, well, if South Korea top their group, they'll play Japan. Then they drop points to Jordan, which is not, no disgrace there. But so they're actually sitting second in their group at the moment. And they'll need to beat Malaysia to have any chance of finishing top.
Better than Peter Andre. He dropped his pants to Jordan, didn't he?
There it is.
Sorry, jumped in there.
I think we'll leave the pod there then. I think that's probably a good one. So we'll just thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll go to our final thoughts. So, Johnny, you got a final thought?
Final thought. All right. I think I posted this to you guys anyway, but I recently found out that in Nigeria, it is a slang term for an idiot to be called a Dundee United. You're a Dundee United. The slang for you're a effing idiot.
Brilliant. Shane, final thought?
They mentioned on the broadcast of the Celtic game that a storm was the weather was pretty poor, but that a storm was rolling into Glasgow. I think it might be Isha or Aisha. Apologies, I've got the name wrong. But look, it seems pretty bad there. So shout out to all of those living in that part of the world. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and to all those listening in different parts of the world, but have family and friends back in Scotland, reach out and check on them and make sure they're doing okay. And hopefully the storm passes quickly with as little damage as possible. But stay safe, everybody.
My final thought is the world's gone mad. Look after each other. And Liam, what's your final thought?
Well, in keeping with current affairs, I'm gonna pose a question for you. See if anybody knows the answer. What is the difference between the Israeli army and Dwight York?
Oh, I don't know if I want to answer that.
Yeah, I might drop off.
The Israelis knew when to pull out of Jordan.
All right, everyone. See you next week. Hail.
Hail.